So what I'm going to say is going to be a little bit controversial, but after having spent years in the industry of IT outsourcing, I actually think that IT outsourcing is almost dead, right? So a lot of industries, you always hear this is dead, and it's never really true. But I think with IT outsourcing, we have a fundamental shift in what's going on. So it used to be that programming software was a rare skill, was very valuable, and few people could do it, few people would want to do it, right? But the demand kept rising. And so as in the West, we came to a point where we couldn't satisfy that demand anymore. Of course, we went to other countries, such as India, for example, to find more people to do it. The reality is, and this is the controversial part, is that in my opinion, most of the developers in these outsourcing countries are really not that good. And yes, that includes India, and that it includes a lot of countries in Southeast Asia as well. And in a time when you absolutely need to get every warm body on a chair, because you need, like, even if the person is not super productive, you're just so demanding of new software, you need it so badly, you'll be happy to get that person on board. But now with the advent of AI, what you can actually do is you can augment a good developer in Europe. Let's take a German software developer. With the help of AI, it's actually possible to make them 50%, maybe 100% more effective, right? It depends on what exactly you're doing. If it's more prototyping, you can probably 10x that person. If it's like production grade, security relevant infrastructure stuff, you can probably still increase their productivity by 50% right now, and over time probably another 50% over that, right? So you can make them much more effective, much more productive. And once you are at that point, you don't need the marginally productive developer in India anymore. That is often causing more bugs to be introduced in the systems, where you have time zone differences, where you have language barriers, where you have cultural barriers, etc., etc. This time where we just need anybody who has a pulse to be writing some form of code, even if it's not high quality, this is simply over, because now we have the choice to not send the money to India, but instead keep it in Europe, for example, invest it into AI, and make the German, the Polish, the French developer, engineer that much stronger. And so I think IT outsourcing is in real big trouble. If you follow the big IT outsourcing companies in India, you can actually see some echoes of that already. Yes, they talk about, oh, we have management problems, and there's like boardroom fights and everything. But I think behind that is the fact that you don't need low-level programmers anymore, because you can just invest the money in AI and have much better results with much less complexity. And it's going to get really tough for the people that are working in these IT outsourcing fields. And as a corollary, that also means in Europe, for example, we don't need to import low-level programmers from Africa, India, etc. to Europe, right? I remember a time about 10, 15 years ago in Germany, we were always talking about the computer Indians, right? And what was meant by then was that we didn't have enough engineers to satisfy demand, and so we're always talking about these highly qualified Indians that would come and program computers. And I don't want to be mean, but I have yet to see them, even though I work in software development. Are there good Indian developers in India? Of course. Have a couple of them come to Germany or other European countries, of course, but the mass of the people are actually not highly qualified. They're actually low-level engineers. And if we don't need them anymore, because we can just use AI to make our own native developers much stronger, it also means we don't need to bring them to Europe anymore, right? And I understand this is going to tick some people off. Very controversial, but I actually think that this is where we are at. And it's really curious to see. I'm in Southeast Asia right now. It's really curious to see more and more Western companies opening offices here for software development, when I actually think the trend is going into a total different direction, and they should actually be stopping doing that. What they should do is they should develop an AI strategy.